Alrighty, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. So, I am so excited once again to have Chris Woolsey with us. He is the Senior Director of Communications for Chicken Soup for the Soul Entertainment. They are the company that handles Crackle, Chicken Soup for the Soul streaming service, as well as Redbox. And the good thing about all of those streaming services is you can watch everything on there completely free. So today we're going to be going through the shows and movies that are going to be on those platforms coming up in the month of March. So thanks again for being with us today, Chris.
Matt, are you kidding me? This is amazing. This is the highlight of my month coming to talk to you.
All right, yeah, and it's highlight of my month too. So thanks again for being with us. So I thought we would go ahead and just start out with Redbox, talk a little bit about that. So yeah, just let me know what are the big titles that people should be aware of that are coming to Redbox this month.
Sure. So obviously, we've got Women's History Month, but it's also Women's Empowerment Month.
Hmm.
And so on some of our platforms, including Redbox, we have a lot of historical content about different films and TV series that women have contributed to society with. But Redbox loves a good action flick. And so in part of their programming for March, they have found a bunch of films with women just kicking butt.
Hmm.
And we've got some great titles. I had not seen, I don't know if I'd seen any of these films, and they are spectacular. I love action films. It's next to thrillers. It's probably one of my favorite genres. And there's just some really good stuff on Redbox this month. We've got one in particular, Army of One,
Hmm.
starring Ellen Holman from the last Matrix movie.
Hmm.
Spectacular. Her and her husband are in Latin America. They're out in the middle of the jungle, and they stumble onto a cartel compound. And unfortunately, her husband is killed. They let her live because they think, well, what can one woman do? Well, it ends up that Ellen Holman's character is ex-special forces. So it ends up she can do quite a bit. And she's got this bow and arrow set that she had with her out there. And just imagine the movie Rambo if Sylvester Stallone was a super hot woman and had like a sports bra, and you're pretty close to Army of One. It's phenomenal, great action, and she kicks massive butt in this film.
Cool.
So that one is great. Another one that is sort of in the women kicking butt category is a German film. I love a good foreign film, and this is fantastic. It's called In the Fade, and it's starring Diane Kruger, who you might remember from National Treasure, the Nick Cage movie.
Yeah.
And she's great in this. So it's about her. She's married, has this beautiful little boy, and unfortunately, her husband and son are killed in a neo-Nazi terrorist bombing in Germany. And they catch the guys who did it. Looks like it's going to be an open and shut case. And unfortunately, justice appears to be a little elusive in this case. And it looks like they're going to get off the hook. But what they didn't count on was young Miss Kruger taking justice into her own hands. And let's just say it ends poorly for those conspirators in the bombing. Really cool stuff.
Yeah, that sounds like both of those movies are definitely ones I'm going to check out. So,
Yep. And then my other favorite, so circling back to thrillers, we've got this amazing film called Below the Fold. Now, this is starring Sarah Maguire, who's in a new film that's coming out called They Wait in the Dark, which is a horror film that our sister company Screen Media just acquired. I think she is going to be a force to be reckoned with in the coming years because she is spectacular in this film. It stars her and Davis Durock from Jayhawkers, and they play a couple of journalists who are investigating a 10-year-old cold case about a kidnapping of a young woman, and they uncover a piece of evidence that was somehow overlooked in the original investigation, and that sets off this domino of events that leads the two of them into really the dark underbelly of the Midwest and sort of small town. They're in northern Missouri and kind of small town intrigue. It is an edge of your seat nail biter. I cannot recommend this film enough. Really great.
Yeah. As someone from the Kansas City area, I always like those gritty stories in Missouri. So
I do too. I love a good Midwest crime flick for sure. Yeah, that's a great one. And then we've got another awesome action film, 88, with Catherine Isabel from Hannibal. And she plays a woman who is madly in love with her boyfriend. He gets murdered, and she loses all memory. So it's kind of like, it's a little bit of like a Memento, where she just wakes up and realizes that he's gone, and she has no idea what happened or who is responsible. And so she's got to go on this sort of investigative journey. And it ends up that it's Christopher Lloyd is like this crazy criminal leader, and he's involved in the death. It's really good. It's really taut. I don't think I've ever seen Christopher Lloyd play a character quite this creepy.
Yeah, when you said that, I was like, the Back to the Future guy? What?
I know, right? Yeah, he's like America's granddad. But yeah, I recently watched, there's a movie called Green Room, and Patrick Stewart was in it. And I was like, oh, great, a Patrick Stewart movie. And then I watched it, and he plays kind of almost the same character. And it was terrifying just because you love that other persona that you know them as. It makes them 10 times creepier when they're playing a ne'er-do-well. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard good things about that one too. That's on my list, is Green Room. So
yeah, the same writer director wrote, his first film was Blue Ruin, and it is easily my favorite independent film of the last 20 years. It's a fantastic action film, character study. Go out and watch both of those. But Blue Ruin is a phenomenal film.
Yeah, cool. So we've gone through Redbox. Tell me a little bit about what's on Crackle.
Yep. So Crackle, we've got a bunch of great stuff. Crackle has a very wide spectrum of content type. One of the things that does set us apart in the industry is the fact that we do original content. And one of my favorite original series that we have, we just premiered season 4 of, and this is the Ashton Kutcher co-production, Going from Broke. And this is a series where the hosts, Dan Rosenzweig and Tanya Rapley, who are both amazing financial experts, they sit down with people who are literally drowning in debt. In fact, every season I go, wow, they can't find anyone who has more debt. And yet the next season, there's somebody on this season.
Just kidding.
There's somebody here who is $3.2 million in debt. Wow. And so they sit down with these people who are just in these like catastrophic financial situations, and they analyze their economic situation. They help them come up with actionable steps that they can actually achieve. And then they help them blaze a new path forward towards financial freedom. And the motto of the show is become the CEO of your own life. And that's exactly what they do at the end of every episode. These people know that they finally have hope for digging themselves out of the situation. But the great thing about it is not only do the participants get help, but the audience can take those very same lessons that the people on the show are learning, and they can apply those to their own situation.
Yeah. I mean, $3.2 million in debt. That's a lot. So
you're feeling way better about your situation, aren't you?
Just slightly better. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a great series. We have all 4 seasons available for free on Crackle, so you can binge through there, and really, really good stuff. But what else I'm excited about this month on Crackle? So I think we've talked about this before. I am a huge sci-fi nerd. I mean, I'm a lot of kinds of nerds, but sci-fi nerd in particular. And we've got a bunch of great classic sci-fi on Crackle this month. We have the series, I don't know if you caught this one when it was originally airing, but the series Farscape.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, really great. And what I love about this is, it seems like so much sci-fi, especially now, leans so heavily on CG. But this was an Australian co-production with the Jim Henson Company.
Mm-hmm.
And so because of that, they're the masters of not only puppetry, but also practical effects. And so the show is just loaded with practical effects and effects that don't require at least as much computer generated graphics as a lot of things. But the relationships, the setup for the show, it's just phenomenal. It's a fan favorite, and people are flipping out a little bit that we've got the entire series, all 3 seasons. Plus, I guess it was the network cut it like at the very end, and they thought there was going to be another season, but there wasn't. So it ended on a cliffhanger. And the makers of the series were so upset that the storyline didn't get wrapped up that they raised the money to shoot a film, Farscape: The Peacekeepers, and they were able to tie it all up, and we have that as well. So you'll be able to see the entire journey of these characters. But it's fantastic. I'm a big fan. We also have...
I always hear people talk about that one. So
yeah, it's definitely a darling, especially in the sort of the niche indie sci-fi world. Not quite Star Wars or Star Trek, but it's awesome. Now this, I'm dating myself a little bit on this one, but I'm a gigantic fan of this film. This is the 1987 classic Highlander. I don't know if you've seen that one, Matt.
I haven't seen it personally, but I always hear people talk about it. So
yeah, you got to watch Highlander. It's amazing. Great cast. It has Christopher Lambert and Sean Connery in maybe my absolute favorite role of his outside of the 007 movies. But it's about this group of immortals, and they've been battling for, I guess, forever. They're immortal. And there is a way to kill them, even though they're called immortals, which is sort of strange. But they're trying to battle to see who is going to be the last one standing. So there can be only one is like the catchphrase in the film. And it's fantastic. It also has Clancy Brown, who is the terrifying guard from the Shawshank Redemption. And he's horrifying in this film. You've got to check it out. If you like sci-fi at all, this is definitely a staple for sure.
Yeah. Awesome.
Another sort of related to a sci-fi staple is a lot of people love the RoboCop movies. They know about the RoboCop movies, but what they don't know about the RoboCop movies is that there was also a RoboCop series. So this was a Canadian series, and it was starring Richard Eden, who was in the nighttime soap opera Santa Barbara, which was ridiculously popular. And it's perfectly fitting because while this is sci-fi, it's also wonderfully cheesy. And I think his nighttime soap experience really helped with that. It also has Yvette Nepar, who was on 21 Jump Street, and Blue Mancuma from 2012, among other things. But it's a great series. It's a great homage to the film characters, and it's in the same world of old Detroit. It's pretty fab.
Yeah, awesome. So, let's get on to Chicken Soup for the Soul. So I know this is kind of a newer streaming service. So maybe just tell us a little bit about it and some of the shows coming out.
Sure. So Chicken Soup for the Soul is kind of our female-centric free streaming service. So while there's all kinds of content on there, our programming team does tend to program with female audiences in mind. But it's interesting because you would think, oh, well, okay, I know what that is. That's home and garden, and that's cooking shows. Not even close. We do have that, don't get me wrong, but there are so many other things going on there. I don't know if you knew, because I didn't until I started working to promote this channel, but the largest audience for crime and true crime content is actually women. Which shouldn't surprise me because I think my mom is officially a police detective at this point. She's watched so many shows on ID and all those channels. So So there is a ton of crime and true crime content on there, and there's just a very wide spectrum of titles. But for Women's History Month, we thought it would be fitting. Like with Crackle, we also have original content on Chicken Soup for the Soul streaming that you can only see on Chicken Soup for the Soul. And this month, we've got a great documentary that's a Chicken Soup original, and that is called Quant. And it's the story of Mary Quant, who was the designer who came up with the miniskirt.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And you think, do we really need a movie about the creation of the miniskirt? But what I found out watching this is it's actually fascinating because Mary Quant was a real iconoclast, and she was a real revolutionary, not only in the design world, but also just in society in general. And she wanted women to be looked at, but she wanted them to feel beautiful and empowered. And that's kind of the cool thing about it, is the documentary goes through all the societal ramifications that the miniskirt had on society, and it's pretty impressive, and it's really well done. And if people like history, documentary, fashion, any of those things, even sociology, I highly suggest checking it out. And then we also have a great sketch comedy series. So I love sketch comedy. It's one of my little favorite little passions. And this one, so it's from New Zealand. And the cool thing about it is right now we're seeing so much stuff coming out of New Zealand. I mean, obviously the Lord of the Rings movies and TV shows. We've got Taika Waititi and everything he's doing. Our Flag Means Death. And then, a ton of celebrities coming out of there. Well, this series was created a few years back, and it was a big hit in New Zealand, but it has never been seen in the United States before. And so we just dropped season 3 of this show. We have all 3 seasons, and the other fun thing about it is it's a female-centric sketch show about a bunch of women who are trying to start a female-centric sketch show and the battles that they have with a male-dominated entertainment industry. And so it's a little meta that way, but it's really fun. And the other cool thing is, because it was a few years back, a lot of the people that were on there, a lot of the women are now bigger stars. Rose Matafeo, who's on the series, she's the lead on the series Starstruck. Jackie Van Beek, who's What We Do in the Shadows, another New Zealand, I believe that's Taika Waititi's series, and that's from New Zealand. Nick Sampson, who plays a recurring male character on there from the Brokenwood Mysteries. So there's all kinds of great rising stars on that show. So super fun. And if you like sketch comedy, you definitely want to check that one out.
And what was that show called again?
That's Funny Girls.
Funny Girls. Okay. Gotcha.
Yep.
So yeah.
Hence the name. Yep.
I love some good sketch comedy. So definitely something
definitely
I think I'll check out too. So
excellent. And then it seems fitting right now with the news cycle and the passing of the Queen recently. I was talking to somebody the other day, like, I thought when I was younger and there was the wedding of Princess Diana and Prince Charles, I thought that was as big as the royals would ever get. But I feel like they're in the news now more than they ever have been in the past. And it's crazy. You open up the news every day, and it seems like there's a different royal story, whether it's a scandal or it's news about the relationship of the brothers or their marriages or whatever. But we have this great series called The Royals, which gives the audience a peek behind the curtain. So the cool thing about it is it's not just a documentary series about different people in the royal family. They actually interview people who have worked in the royal ecosystem, let's say, whether it's in the household of the government, people that have had access to the royal family that you and I would never get because they've got really good security there. And it's super interesting, and you get to hear stories that you would never hear anywhere else. So if you have an audience that is interested in the royal family, they definitely want to check this series out. Because I think they're going to learn a few things that they may not have known before.
Awesome. So, yeah, definitely. I always hear about the Royals in the news, so I'm sure there's a lot of people that would be interested in that as well. So, yeah, there is so much great stuff to check out on those streaming services. And the best of all is it is free. So I would say the best price is free 99.
That's it. Absolutely. And you can get the app for any of these at any of the app stores, Crackle, Redbox, and then Chicken Soup for the Soul. You can get that on Samsung and Vizio TVs, as well as Amazon Fire. And we're rolling out the Roku app here any week now, and so it'll be available to almost everyone at this point. But you can watch on your tablet, your laptop, connected TV, whatever you like. Go to crackle.com, redbox.com, or chickensouptv.com.
Awesome. So thanks again for being with us today, Chris. And yeah, I appreciate it.
Always a ridiculous pleasure. Thank you so much, Matt.
Yep. Thank you.
All right. We'll talk soon.